All right, what's up, guys? This is Livin the Dream podcast. I'm Sam.
I'm Josiah.
I'm Tegan.
Today we've got an exciting part 2 to one of our previous episodes, union versus non-union. And guess what, fellas? We've got a phone-in guest.
A phone-in guest.
Guest phone in.
Yeah, well, this man has spent his career in a union, and it has helped him and all of that, and we wanted to have the opportunity for him to be able to share his side of it. I know we were kind of all, non-union in our last episode, and we tried to broach both sides of it, but we figured, hey, let's give the union a fair shot, and let's have somebody that has lived it and speak on it. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce. This is Eddie DeWitt. Go ahead and give us a hello there, Mr. DeWitt.
Hello, fellas. How y'all doing?
Doing good, sir. How are you?
Living the dream.
There you go, living the dream.
Living the dream. All right, me too.
Fantastic. So let's just go ahead and we'll break this off the ice here, because I do have a little bit of this is a special benefit, because this is my biological father, it was a no-brainer that we needed to have him on, because as I talked to him, there was a little more information that came out just in our pre-interview that I had no idea of as far as the union aspect of it. So Dad, why don't you go ahead and just start off with what you did, and what role you played in the union, what role the union played in you. Just give us a rundown. Educate us.
All right. Well, I was a member I'm still a retired member for 35 years. I worked at the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local 633 in Owensboro, Kentucky. And we did piping in the piping industry is what we basically worked at. We were building construction trades, which is a whole lot different than like a union and a shop union.
Okay.
Whereas, we pretty much took care of each other out on the job, and we moved from job to job constantly, from contractor to contractor. So it was a whole lot harder to kind of keep up with things,
Right.
But as time goes by, you get used to that. And, it has its good parts and its bad parts, just like anything else.
Right.
Good part was I was paid well, and I was pretty well taken care of, I think. It's there was a lot of favoritism. I'll be honest with you about that.
Yeah.
But the business manager, he didn't like me. He just liked the other guys a lot better.
Right.
Not much you can do about that. It's he's an elected official, and he was real damn good at getting elected.
Well, most politicians are, right?
Yeah, he was a politician. I mean, he was a character. You could go in there pissed off about something and come out and not even be mad.
So he would have what I would refer to as diplomacy. He would have that ability to tell somebody to fuck off in a way that they look forward to the trip.
Yeah. Yeah, that was Norman Ray right there. Yeah.
Fantastic.
That was him. Yeah, he was good with the contractors. We done pretty good. I was on a few different committees, contracting negotiating committee and the insurance committee, and over the years, different people in the local participate in different aspects of the officers end of it,
Uh-huh.
And that's an important part of being in a building trades union, or as well as any union. I'm assuming I've never been on any shop union, because I've never had what I call a real job, where I worked in one place all the time. But it was a whole lot like, just everybody was somebody else's little boy. We were all kin to each other for the most part. It was a small local of about 330 people.
Okay.
And everybody was, like I said, was somebody's little boy. We used to have an expression in there whenever you'd show up on a job the first time. They say, "Well, whose little boy are you?"
Right. So you're saying so it would be safe to assume that the union kind of ran in the family, and I guess that would kind of make me the black sheep. then wouldn't it?
I think they called you a scab, right?
Well, I guess. I've never, but see, not really, because I wasn't. I've never worked in a union shop, so I guess technically that wouldn't make me a scab.
No, you're not a scab. You're just non-union.
Just non-union. There you go.
We like to refer to you in the organizing business as open shop.
Okay, open shop. All right.
Well, sounds a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, open shop. There's something else that I did for a while too. As I worked as an organizer, which was fulfilling for me. I enjoyed that because I wanted everybody to have the benefits that I had with the union, you know.
Right.
And I found out it was just really, really hard to. It was just the hardest thing I ever attempted to do to convince somebody to join a union. You didn't believe it. I mean, you would think they would jump all over, and some did, you know.
Right. So you're saying so a union, so an organizer. So you were like, I guess what they would call like for lay terms would be like a recruiter.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I did. Yeah, I went out there and went out on the job. What I did, instead of, passing out handbills and all this, I actually hired into the non-union contractors covertly and went out there and worked amongst them and picked out the very best people they had and offered them membership in the union.
Oh, wow. So you were one of the people that...
That's illegal nowadays, isn't it?
I don't know, but I know that there's some companies that they highly frown upon that and actually request that you point those people out.
Oh yeah, they do, but there ain't a shit they can do about it.
Right. I mean, hey, if you get hired on, you get hired on. Yeah.
That's cool.
They hired me. Well, I think they have every right to fire me, but also too, I can get an unfair labor practice charge against them.
Wow.
So it gets really shitty as time goes by.
So did you ever encounter any of those scenarios where somebody ratted on you and they?
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah. It become pretty well known because especially at this paper mill here in Oswego, because everybody knew me, you know.
Right. Yeah. That was probably not the best place to try that at.
It was a pretty rough place to do it at, but it was in our local, and they had a non-union contractor building these fine paper machines, and we wanted our share of it. You know, we didn't want all of it, but we wanted our share of it, and we got it finally.
Right.
I got 18 of their best workers in the union, and they went on to work for years and years and get better themselves, and they made better members than I ever would have thought they would have made. Really.
Oh well, that's fantastic. So there's that aspect. So that's an interesting fact on the union. I had no idea that went on. I knew that we've had, like, I think Joe, you've had a union rep outside of the work site that you.
Yeah, we just had a recent one where one of the union guys from our local just came in, and he tried to come in. I think down here, if they come on the job site, the union guys are more likely to get beat up because we don't like union down here as much.
Huh.
Right.
And so he was standing on the outside of the job site, and he was looking for plumbers because they're hurting for plumbers right now. They're offering $35 an hour for entry-level journeymen right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's good.
And it's going upwards of I think it's upwards in the 40s, almost maybe to 50 an hour for if you're in for a couple of years or if you're experienced.
Yeah.
Do y'all have prevailing wage laws too?
Yeah, we got prevailing wage down here.
Mm-hmm. That's a good thing.
Which I do like prevailing wage because union or private sector can do it. Because I've been on a prevailing wage job, which I was an apprentice at the time, and I kind of was like, hey, if I'm a plumber, I should be getting paid this. And they said, well, you're actually just technically a pipe hand, so if anything, you'll be losing money if we pay you prevailing wage. So I just kept my mouth shut.
So and that's something that I'm not real familiar with because I've never really, I don't know if I've ever really.
So prevailing wage is basically the government standard for what a trade or a worker should be paid for what they do.
What it amounts to is we'll have a meeting for the jurisdiction-wide. We have 13 counties, for example.
Okay.
And whatever projects we have going in our 13 counties, a representative from each one of those projects will go to the prevailing wage law meeting. and we'll add up, whoever is there, what their wages on the hour. The union guy obviously will be the highest. Right. And, then there'll be the $6 an hour guy and the 12 and the 18 and whatever. And you add all those together and average them out, divide them up, and that's the wage that prevails.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know it's complicated, but that's the only fair way to do it, really,
Right.
And so then if the union people, representatives don't show up, then the wage that prevails will be considerably less.
Gotcha. Okay. So if if they keep the union out of the meeting, then
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Eddie, I have an interesting thought that I'd like to bring up. I was talking to a guy today. Now he's an old TIG welder, and he's worked private his entire life. He's jumped from shutdown to shutdown and working plants and stuff. And he was talking today, mentioning that. Let's see, how's the way I can say this without butchering it? But he basically said he was wondering if unions. Because unions charge more because they pay their guys more and they have all their overhead that they have to take care of. But he was talking if unions and private people could come together and agree that they all charge the same price, that it would help with the union versus non-union.
Well, see, a lot of times what we have going for us is we have what's called project agreements, where if there's a big project going on, they'll have project agreement meetings previous to the job and pre-job conferences, and they'll work out a price, which is they're not necessarily going to be our union wage, but it ain't going to be, like a TVA wage or anything like that. It's going to be, it's going to be something that everybody can live with and give the contractors, as well as the small contractor getting in, bidding in on the work, a chance to do it. Like we built an AK steel plant over here, and it was the biggest construction project in all North America at the time. And they had a project labor agreement on it that was perfectly suitable to everybody. I mean, we didn't have no problem with it at all.
Seems like there's a lot of those largest plants in America going in, because I had one a couple years ago. It's probably still going on right now, but there's that steel plant going in Brandenburg.
Yeah.
I went up on that one to go get a job, but that one is supposed to be, now I don't know if it's changed, but I think that one was supposed to be the largest steel plant going in America.
Yeah, they build some big plants here nowadays. Well, they don't start off small.
Well, they got to be able to process all that China steel that they bring in.
Chinesium.
Yeah, Chinesium. I hear you.
So as far as, let's see, I'm trying to think. So what would you say, let's break it down as to what would you say is the best part of the union? What do you feel like for someone that is, looking at going into a career that's heavily unionized, what would you say are the benefits of going into a union? And then what would you say are probably the biggest downfalls of a union?
Okay, good question. To me, and to a lot of us, the best benefit of it was the brotherhood. The fact that we all took care of each other and looked after each other's family.
Right.
And, we all loved each other, took care of each other, looked after each other, helped each other get to work. And, whenever guys are starting out and they had to go 2 weeks without a paycheck, we'd make sure they got there. And that was, to me, the most endearing part of it. Of course, the worst parts of it was the damn favoritism, where the business manager would show favoritism to, his damn buddies, and then you had to wait your turn.
Right.
And a lot of times your term had already came and you didn't get it. But that would be probably part of the worst part of it. And then again, back just to me personally, the contract negotiations, that sucked.
So what I'm hearing is whenever time came up for stuff like that, there was a lot of ass kissing that had to be done.
A lot of ass kissing had to be done. A lot of ass kissing got done. We got the saying in our local: 20 years of hard work's better than 20 minutes of ass kissing is better than 20 years of hard work.
I can see that. So I've noticed that. So I've talked to some people about some of the union and like seniority. That aspect of it. So how does that work? Because I know, like, as far as what did you say it was, an open shop?
Yeah.
So as far as open shop, like, seniority is like your time put in, and like if you get laid off or you quit or you leave or whatever, sorry, your seniority's gone. You
Yeah.
know, how does that work in the union? What goes on there?
Well, here's how we deal with it. We don't have no seniority. You go on a work list and you hire in according to the work list, and when you get laid off, you go to the bottom of the work list.
Oh, okay.
And that's the way that works.
So a layoff is like a strike against your work ethic, or is it just
no? Layoff is just when a job's over with, you know.
Okay.
You all go back and sign the work list and wait for your name to roll around again. Now, if you're a welder, you might go off a little sooner, you know, but it's basically that's how we deal with seniority. Deal is we don't have anything such as seniority.
Okay. All right. I wasn't aware of that.
You'll find that'll be the same with all building trade unions.
I did not know that.
All
That's
right.
kind of interesting. So whenever you got dropped down and you were at the bottom of that work list, how for you? Because it seemed like you were always pretty busy. You always were able to have a job. Whenever you were done with a job and got dropped off, I guess, to the bottom of that work list, how quickly were you able to get back on?
It could be a year, you know.
Oh, wow.
So you would go.
I went back to work locally now, but see, now we can travel all over the whole United States. And we have like a travel card where we can go into other locals whenever they deplete their workforce and they need help. Then we can go to work there until their local hands get out of work again. Then we got to go back home.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that way it's fair to their local hands, and this gives us an opportunity to still work union, still pay into our pensions and our health benefits.
Okay. All right. So that was another thing too, that, like, you know, so the open shop guys, we have like 401k, and a lot of the research that we did was, you know, that the union has pension. How does that work? Is it like similar? Is it like you have to pay so much in? Or, you know, I mean, I don't know. I have absolutely no clue in that aspect of it, because, you know, I was just a twinkle in the eye whenever whenever I was around you for the union. So I didn't get to ask these questions then.
Well, in the progress and contract negotiations is where you put so much on your benefit package, you know, and our benefit packages is negotiated separately from our wages. In other words, we make so much on an hour, and then when our health insurance, you know, if it goes up $1 an hour, then that $1 an hour comes off whatever raise we might get, you know.
Okay.
Unless we can get $1 raise to compensate for it, you know, then we'll be breaking even. It's tough, you know, to negotiate those things, and you know, you end up being not real popular too a lot of times.
So you're saying, so I guess if I'm understanding this right, the benefits and like your pension and stuff, that's all based out of the union hall?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the international, see, we belong to an international local plumbers and pipe fitters.
Okay.
And that's what covers all. That's what takes care of our pension, and it helps the benefits follow the man.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, our national pension fund, like I draw a national pension fund, and we just happen to have a local pension fund too. So I draw 2 different pension funds. So that helps me out there. And the local one, you know, you can, whenever contract negotiation comes, you know, you can put 50 cents on the local one, or put nothing on it for that matter if you don't want to, if you're satisfied with the way it is. It just depends on what the body wants to do, you know.
Yeah.
So when you were negotiating your contracts and stuff, how often did you? Because so if you were in the union for 35 years, you were working in it for 35 years, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously that's a long time to start, because what age did you start in the union?
Oh, let's see. I think I was 21.
21?
Oh, wow.
So from 21, and you've got 35 years in. So from 21 to, let's say, 31, obviously that benefits package is going to change up a little bit, and you're going to renegotiate.
Yeah.
How often did you renegotiate, or is it like it just comes up, like, say, like a yearly thing?
Once a year.
Once a year.
It comes up once a year unless we negotiate a contract for 3 years or something like that.
Okay.
I was on the negotiating committee for the first 3-year multi-year contract, whereas we got cost of living or $1, whatever an hour, whatever it was. It just so happened the cost of living shot up over those 3 years, and we went from $12.58, I think, to 18 something in 3 years. And that was just happened to be a freak thing, you know.
Right.
And everybody else was doing multi-year contracts, and I thought we should get in on it too, because we were still pretty antiquated in our negotiating techniques, and I wasn't going to have it.
Yeah. So hey, sometimes though you get to where you start moving those techniques and negotiations and skills in that new age direction, and then everybody gets their feathers in a ruffle. I think we've
well, it's hard to get the old wrinkle butts to go along with the young ones.
right. What do you call them? Old heads.
Old heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call them old wrinkle butts.
just call it how it is. I guess I see now. Yeah. So
they want everything that it is.
Right. So okay. So let's go this route. So what other? So you were in the contract negotiation aspect of it. What else did you do in as far as the union goes? Because I think you and I
on the insurance committee, that was another big one too. That was just an absolute pain in the ass. Insurance is so complicated,
right?
And it's just so complicated. And I couldn't even begin to get into it. But you know, you boil down to about every so many years, you had to change your damn insurance agents was over with to somebody else, because it was just going to it kept jacking it up, you know, where it was eating away at your wages. So, you know, our contract and our fringe benefits is negotiated separately from our wages. But if something goes up in the fringe benefits, it comes out of our wages.
Okay. So, I got you.
Yeah.
So the way you got paid was always through the union hall, and it was just they would take out your wages. So it's basically like working for a shop, kind of. It's just a little. I guess you've got a little more hand in what you can do and not do.
You had a more say. Well, the body had a say in it. You know. Okay. In other words, ever for the body, and they had to vote on it.
Okay.
You know, so it wasn't our decisions, individuals as negotiators. We were just vessels, basically. You know, for the take it to them, and hopefully you got a good negotiator in there that would hold their feet to the fire. And it's tough. I mean, it's fucking tough.
Yeah.
Because some guys, the contractors, you know, they're big money contractors, and you know they got some hardcore. They got lawyers in there do their negotiating.
Oh wow!
You know, yeah. So I mean, we was outclassed pretty much every time. So it took a ruthless bastard like me to pretty well get it across.
Hey, sometimes you just got to get down in the pit.
Sometimes you just got to get down, get shitty. Yeah, it's just about what it all boils down to. Yeah.
Right. Well,
I can run with that picket line across that goddamn gate, and you'll do without.
So there's something there. So we talk about the picket line, and that aspect. So how does that aspect, like? Because I mean, obviously you as a union have walked out of your job and refusing to do work. then like how does that work? I mean, because you're not getting paid, right, at all, or okay.
No, it's just strictly a wildcat strike.
Okay.
You go out, that's it. You know, everybody's pissed at everybody.
All right. So it's just one of those things that's y'all have to do.
Yeah, and anybody that tries to go in there and do the job, get the shit kicked out of them.
Well, there you go. That's pretty much what it ends. That's how I remembered
like it.
That's how much that's what I recalled how it went down. Man, do y'all have anything else? Because I didn't really prepare for this one. I just kind of I figured.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. We were super well prepared for you.
Well, we had a lot of questions about some of the stuff that we had talked about in the podcast as open shop guys, and I just had the little bit of what I knew from growing up and what I experienced. But as far as like the whole business aspect of it, I was clueless to it.
I think he's just so knowledgeable on everything that we're kind of like, whoa, okay.
It's like, well, shit, what do we do?
I don't know what to talk about.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I guess, obviously, just an easy, simple question. I know this is kind of just a black or white one, but if you were to recommend for a young guy, let's say they're getting out of high school, and they're wanting to go into, I guess specifically your trade would be a welder, and if they were wanting to go in and either become non-union and break out and do on their own rig, or become union, what do you think would be better for a younger guy in today's age to pursue?
If they want to go out and work in the building trades, I'd say definitely go with the building trade union. I'd say definitely go with that. Especially if you're going to be a plumber, because plumbers, you got to deal with the plumbing codes, and Kentucky's plumbing code is 8-bitch.
I understand. So if any Kentucky plumbers are up there, I completely understand that.
It's tough. Of course, your plumber's license is good in every other state, because it's the strictest there is. I mean, we went from 2 whole shit houses to, all this high-tech crap, so we had to really get in line quick.
Right. Well, what do we talk about in one of the previous episodes? The pressurized sewer line or whatever, where they've got they're pumping shit, which I ended up looking at it that like it gets some of it gets pretty high pressure, and I'm like, you could literally have a shit fountain in the middle of the street at one point.
Yep. It's called a forced main.
There you go. That's the word. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so okay. So let's go this route. Then I'll put you on the spot a little bit here. After having the 35 years and the experience that you've had in the union, if you could go back, would you do it again?
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty easy.
yeah, definitely would do it again. It's enough now, just for to be with my buddies again.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So it sounds like to me that it's a really it's almost like a second family is kind of what it appears.
A brotherhood.
Yeah, it's a brotherhood.
It is. It's a brotherhood. Just like a bunch of bikers. Same thing.
Right.
A lot of us are bikers.
Oh, right. Yeah. Go ahead.
So definitely you're recommending union. So would you say like, if you definitely would go back and do it again, are you 100% everybody should be union, or do you think there's certain aspects that private companies are better at, or you would recommend, hey, it would be better to be private, or what would you say? Go to a public company.
I say no to that. I think you shouldn't have to be 100% everything. Everybody doesn't need a union. That's the first thing I want to make clear in all this. If you got a company that's paying you good and you got any kind of benefits at all, and you're reasonably happy, you need to think long and hard before you drag a union into your business. Because they're going to go get a hold of shit, and they're going to do it their way, and it may not be the way you like it.
That makes sense.
And correct me if I apologize. Go ahead.
I was just a buyer's beware type thing, just be careful what you ask for.
Fair enough.
So, trying to make sure I word this question correctly.
Just throw it out there, man. It'll be all right.
Right, now I forgot it.
Now you forgot. Good Lord, I tell you what. No, and I get what you're saying with the, that the union. I think that is kind of one of the points that we pushed in the previous episode was that yes, union has its place, but I don't believe that union is for everybody.
It ain't. It's absolutely not for everybody, because I've seen too many instances where people would get shop unions, for example, and would just abuse the hell out of it.
Right.
I mean, we're just asking for ridiculous shit, and paid birthdays off, and just unbelievable stuff, man. And like when you go to work in their company, in their plants, if there's any one maintenance guy wants to work in the place of you as you come in there, because we worked under their maintenance contract, see?
Right.
Which is how the contractors would come in. Well, they'd have to either pay him to stay home or pay him to be there or whatever, I mean, they just had deals like that I would just totally disagree with.
Right. Well, we had Tom, excuse me. Sorry, that was a beer thought coming out, I guess. Tom was just in here before we started recording, and he was telling us about an instance that he had witnessed to where there was a company that there was an eclipse that was in Oklahoma. It wasn't even a full solar eclipse, but there was a partial solar eclipse, and they offered a 15-minute break to the union workers to go out and see the eclipse. Well, there was a grievance filed within the union because second and third shift didn't get that additional 15-minute break on their side of it, and
right.
and they won. So the next time around, whenever this next eclipse came, nobody got shit. Everybody just stayed at work, and you had to go out there and break.
That's not fair because they got there first.
So I guess that's one of those opportunities that the union can be a little petty and getting in the middle of your shit.
Petty's the word right there. Yeah, you can get a little bit petty, you get a little shitty, and and there's other times, whatever, it's just there's just not necessarily everybody don't need to be union, because first of all, everybody can't get along with other people.
Right.
And there's where your number one big problem comes in at. You've got to be a body of negotiating people that is willing to listen to each other, and to some degree at least. And if you don't have that one thing going for you, you got nothing.
Right. So it's something that the three of us can kind of relate to is the politics of a roundup club. Oh my God.
What do you mean? It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm never joining another roundup club. I'll just go to the rodeos and make money and have fun.
That's right. Yeah,
I don't want to do any of that.
No, I'm with you on that one. That's where you get two levels of crazy, where it's not just the normal communication of people struggle. It's you have horse people communication. Well, and I think we all know, and Dad, I think you can attest to this one as well, that horse people are a special breed.
They are different, for sure.
Well, there you go. We have different cliques in our local too,
Yeah.
So I remember my question from before. I was, golly, you see the smoke coming out of my ears?
Yeah. Headphones were on fire.
So Eddie, I was wondering, so you talked about if, let's say, someone that was coming from private was to go into a union, and the union would get all up in their business. You were saying it was a buyer beware kind of deal. So in that aspect, if someone is going into the union, is that something that if they, let's say someone listening to this can take from your experience on this, so they can maybe help someone out that, let's say they joined a union and they just got in there and didn't realize some of the stuff that happened, or they didn't like the way that things went? Is it something that once you have your contract and you negotiated for, let's say you've got your 2-year contract, do you have to, or I should say, are you legally bound to work for that for 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're pretty much in that there's no way to break that contract?
No, there's no way to break that contract. In other words, and you wouldn't want to anyway, because it will be probably for the best interest. It may not be the best for the person, the individual that's complaining, but you guys all got an opportunity to get together and work some shit out between yourself too, where you might could get things going a little bit more your way too. That's the good thing about the union is that everybody's got a say in it.
Right. Okay. All right. So would you say that, like I know, like you mentioned something about getting on the job list and stuff like that. Is that that's a nationwide job list? Because I think that was something that we had talked about too, that I brought up, that, one of the things that I saw as a benefit to the union was that that you were able to get a job anywhere in the United States just based off of the union, and you weren't out there having to like click monster.com to find your job.
No, I had my personal business manager got the job for me.
Okay.
So I have a business manager and a business agent, and the business they work. Their job is to keep me working.
Okay.
And what they do is, like, we have 13 counties, and first thing they do, obviously, is try to keep me working within those 13 counties.
Right.
And then whenever the work's exhausted there, then they go outside on our sister locals, the ones that border us, and they try to see if there's any work there. So it's still a drivable distance,
Okay.
And then it goes coast to coast after that, Whichever you pick up, you throw a dart and hit a spot on the map and call a BA and say, I want to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you'll call Tulsa's local and see if they got any work, need any welders, if we need any plumbers, whatever they might need.
Okay. And so I remember a little bit earlier you also said that, so if you have so speaking from a plumber's perspective here, so I've got my plumbing license here in Oklahoma, journeyman license. So if I was to go even one state over from Oklahoma, if I was to go to Arkansas or Kansas or anything, I would have to apply and basically retest and get their state certified. I would have to take their state test. Now I'm sure there's different ways for me. I know you can apply for a temporary journeyman's and other stuff like that, but
okay. Here's where this gets a little bit fucking sleazy. If you're in the union and you want to go over to Arkansas and go to work, your business managers will all work all that shit out.
Ah, okay.
They not necessarily be on the up and up, whereas a private contractor has to go through the state and retest all their fucking employees and have them get the license in that state to work, and it's kind of shitty, I think, but that's just, you get in big cities like St. Louis where they've got a license for everything. Everything's got a license. You know where you get the license at? The Union Hall.
Yep. So that you hit that nail on the head.
All the politicians are ex-union members, and all the city councilmen are pipe fitters, and that's where the benefit of belonging to a union really comes in. It's a part of it where you really don't even see that. But anyway, that would take care of your plumbing license problems if you were in a union. Otherwise,
so join a union and I can go anywhere I want.
Pretty much anywhere you want to go. Yeah.
Well, if I joined a union, I'd have to do a 1-month contract on a month-to-month basis.
I'll tell you what, they'll fix you up with anything you want.
So in other words, what you're trying to say is there's plenty of silver-tongued devils out there that'll get you into the union hall.
Yeah, they're going to get the plumbers they need. Is what they're going to do, one way or the other.
I know Oklahoma, or I should say, at least in the the Tulsa area, we're hurting bad, not only in the private, but for, I've talked to a few union guys down here. We've got a company down here that's union, and even them, we're all hurting.
Shit, I went to a baseball game last night, and for 15 minutes there was a giant ad on the Jumbotron for join the local plumbing, was it 430? Yeah, join local 430, and they were looking for plumbers, pipe fitters, HVAC, and welders, and they had it up there on the screen for 15 minutes. I sent a picture to Joe. I was like, man, everybody's hard up, dude.
Yeah, everybody's looking for there's a shortage of workers, and there's a big shortage of building tradesmen. Yeah. It's like up in Chicago. I worked in Chicago one time, for example, and they needed plumbers, and I'm not a plumber. I never had a plumber's license in my life, but I went up there, and for $50, I got an first year apprentice plumbing license, and it was just as good as any tournaments.
So I know that there is.
That's nuts.
They just make it work, boys. They just make it work.
Well, hey, people need work, and apparently the union is able to supply that work. So hey, I guess there's a lot of people are willing to turn a blind eye to some things if they just need work.
Yeah, you need work, and like at the time it was $32.50 an hour. So I wasn't going to bitch about the conditions.
Yeah, right.
I'll get in that ditch and put that underground in. I ain't got no problem with it.
Shoot, that's even more than I'm making right now.
Right.
So that brings up a good point, and a question that I have for you, and it's kind of a long one. I got to paint some background for you.
Holy crap!
So
get comfortable.
So you said, when you were making $32.50, what, I guess if you don't mind, what year were you doing that?
Oh, that was been 25 years ago.
Okay.
Wow.
So you were making $32.50 25 years ago.
Yeah.
That's like $50 an hour.
Being an apprentice, yeah, that's a lot. So
you're saying as an apprentice you were making that money?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So,
we were born in the wrong generation.
I say apprentice. I mean, he was a welder, so he at least he had that background experience.
Didn't matter to them. They just wanted plumbers.
They just wanted plumbers. So let me.
Somebody lay that pipe.
Everywhere you go, they want plumbers, boys.
Yeah.
We try to tell them Cubs in the local, if y'all don't pay attention in the apprenticeship class to what they teach you about plumbing, you're going to be sorry.
Yep.
So let me ask you this. So obviously it is statistically proven that union members make more money than people in the private sector.
11% to be specific.
11% according to the 2023.
According to Google.
Yeah, according to the 2023 Googles.
So let's say, take it from my position. So if I'm making a certain hourly wage and the union down here is paying, $8 to $10 more an hour, but I don't necessarily want to go join the union because I don't want to get myself roped into the contract, and I don't want to deal with the politics and stuff like that. And I like being able to have the mobility of I can walk out the job and go have another one the next day.
I'm dragging up.
So what would you recommend? How would you leverage the union wages against private wages to drive private wages up for someone who's wanting to do that, but they don't want to join union?
I'd say what you really need to look at is the benefit package on the union side of it, as far as your pensions, and you have insurance and dental and eyeglass and all that. What you've got as far as that goes, you got to consider that. As far as being able to go out and get a different job, you can do that through the union too. You don't have to stay with one person, one contractor. You have to work under one contract, but you don't have to stay with any one contractor.
Okay. So let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly. So if you have a job in Chicago and you're working for a union, and you have a job in Chicago that you go and you work on, and you get tired of the politics and stuff like that, you can drag up from that job and go back to Kentucky and go back to the union hall and say, give me a different job, and they can send you to a different one that they got going on?
Yep, they can send me to a different one in Chicago.
Oh, but it would be so the contract just constitutes like your wage and your benefits.
And you just have to work for the union.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have to work for the union, yeah. But as far as the contractors, there might be 100 of them, that you can go to work for, and they come from all over the world. You know, I worked in the semiconductor industry for a while, making computer chips, and man, it was like the Nukies of the '90s. I mean, we was making money faster than a horse could trot, and it was just unbelievable, man. I mean, you could just go to work one day, go back to the hall the next day, and go to work for another contractor.
Wow.
You know, and it was they was paying per diem and everything else, you know, which is unheard of in the union.
That's kind of where we're at right now in the private side. I know is like if anything was to go on, even apprentices. I know apprentices right now that are making high 20s, even pushing 30, and they're running their own van and they're running their own jobs and everything. Even though it's not technically legal by the state, they're
still making money.
They're still making a lot of money.
But that goes back to like some of those places, like we can't say the name, but there's one that I work with on a regular basis that they have apprentices out doing journeyman HVAC stuff, but you know they're covered under the union, so it's that's some of that they're still less than above par stuff.
They're covered under the union, but if they've got apprentices out there, it is still law that they're supposed to have a journeyman, and there's actually a specific footage that a journeyman is allowed to be away from an apprentice. It's specified.
No kidding.
Yeah, I want to say it's like 60 feet. It's maybe a little less.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense now. Whenever I've seen like the apprentice, like there's never been an apprentice there. There's always just the apprentice. It's been, the apprentice.
The apprentice can go inside the building and the journeyman can sit in his truck.
Okay.
But if you have just an apprentice out there, if you wanted to be a real prick, you could call the state, and a state inspector, if he's around or whatever, he could come out there and see him.
Plumbing inspector could stop that shit real quick.
Yeah.
So there was one thing I wanted to ask too, because we had addressed this topic in the previous union versus non-union episode. Go check that out. It's on. Was that one? That one was YouTube. Yes. So go check it out on YouTube. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Our first YouTube release.
Yeah, our first YouTube release. Yeah. Oh, it was only pivotal. Why would I remember something like that?
It's only the first one.
Right. So go check that out on. If you haven't listened to that one yet, listen to that one before you listen to this one. Just go ahead and go back, listen to that one, come back to this one. But we had mentioned, or I say we, I'm including y'all in this topic. I mentioned the fact that we did the.
Are you okay?
No, I'm having trouble with English currently. Okay. Apparently, this noble whiskey is hitting a little harder than I anticipated. But so. I had mentioned like the weld test. Like you could do that. Like you go take the weld test at the union hall, and then that would qualify you for jobs elsewhere. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah.
All right, so that was one of those things where because Joe had talked about whenever he was working on the road and stuff like that, like it would kind of suck that you end up driving all the way to say
Brandenburg, Kentucky. I drove 10.5 hours to Brandenburg, Kentucky. Stayed a night at a random lady's house that I met I got her number from another guy on the job that I was working with, and told him I was going to go up there, and he said, "Hey, I know somebody up there. I can get you a room." And so I thought, okay, that's awesome, cheap, easy place to sleep. Well, it was me and a guy. We drove up. He was riding with me. We drove all the way up there in the old Cummins, 10.5 hours straight through, and got up there, met her, and found out that we were actually sleeping in her kid's bedroom because her kids recently got taken away from her.
Oh,
so we were already like, okay, we just need to get our first check and get the hell out of this place and go stay somewhere different. And what happened is we went. It was so it was Nucor was the industrial company that was doing the entire job itself.
Right.
But I was going in to work for a company called Thompson Construction, and I was talking to a guy that was working underneath Thompson, working there, and he was the one who told me to come on up. And when I got up there, they slammed me with, "Hey, you got to take a pipe fitter's test." And I said, "I'm not here to be a pipe fitter." And they said, "Well, we're not looking for anything else, and if you want to work here, you got to take a pipe fitter's test." And they wouldn't, even the pipe fitters that were there for their specific, they wouldn't even let them use their own blue book and other stuff like that. And even when I started, the pipe fitters all start to grow, and I went, oh, I'm screwed. And so I think I got like a 19 out of 56 on it, and bombed it pretty bad. And she called me in the office and said, I can give you $19 an hour, no per diem. And I was like, ma'am, I can make more money back at home. It's like, I came up here, can you give me at least 50 a day per diem? I'll be willing to stay here and work for you and work my way up for a minute. And she was wanting me to work at 19 an hour for the first 3 months before I got a possible raise.
Dang.
And so
there you go. So there's the union benefit there. You can cover all of those bases where your business agent can cover all of that stuff, and then you just show up and work.
You just show up and work with your welding or whatever it is.
Yep.
Cork irons or whatever.
And I'm also wondering too. So when I was traveling and everything, I worked with a lot of rig welders. They had their own trucks, their welding beds. They're all their welders. Pipeliners, yeah. So whether it was plant shutdowns or they were working pipeline or anything. So I know Sam mentioned that you were a welder, right? You were a stick welder.
I was a stick welder, heel rock welder, orbital welder. We had 20-something different tests we took to do the local.
Okay, so you could weld anything from the crack of dawn to a broken heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty well.
So my question is, Sam mentioned we were talking about it and said that you never really you never had a welder like on your truck.
No.
No.
That's not true.
I had a welding rig for a while. I worked a little bit of pipeline work, but it was just so spotty, And then again, there's a lot of your clandestine bullshit there too. And pipeliners, they got one local for the whole United States, 798, and they're all going to be going to work before they hire any building trades, what they call us, welders.
Yeah, so just to clarify, what I had talked about previously was a lot of the welding jobs and pipe fitting jobs that he had done, at least to my recollection. And Dad, please correct me, but he would weld test at the local and then drive to, like the job in St. Louis that you brought me up for with oh God, what the hell was his name? We ended up going to the mall, Six Flags, and the whole 9 yards up there. This is a core memory for me. But I can't. You were working. I think it was the Dodge plant. Oh shit!
Not me.
Not you. It had to be you. It was you and God, what was his name?
Some random guy.
Well, it was Sheepy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Sheepy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, working on the road, I've never met a more eclectic group of guys, because they've all got, everybody runs by a nickname. Nobody goes their actual name.
No.
One of my buddies, he works when he was working on the road, he would always come back. He'd be like, "Yeah, one of my bosses, his name is Beer Can, and then the other's name is Fats."
Yep.
And those were his two bosses. Or actually, yeah, you worked with them on one or two jobs.
I didn't work. They were night shift. I was day.
Okay, but you were still working under the same. Okay, so you had Fats and Beer Can on the same.
Yep, they're characters.
Yeah, so
Yeah, you run into some straight, what we call road hands, road trash.
There you go.
That's what I was.
so that job with you and Sheepy in St. Louis, what was that?
I was working at a Chrysler truck plant.
Yeah, okay, all right, the Chrysler truck plant. So were you welding there, or because that was when you were doing structural welding, right?
I was welding pipe.
Okay.
You were stick welding pipe?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
7018?
It was a pretty good job. It was a good paying job.
Yeah. No, that was one of those things. It's really funny because we'll have our first whiskey thought. I think this is the longest we've ever gone in an episode without a whiskey thought.
How long has it been? What, 40 minutes?
Yeah,
This man is full of so much knowledge. I think we're all kind of just like, I feel like I'm in best way I could describe it is I feel like I'm in Sunday school and I'm just sitting down and shutting up while he talks.
Well, it has been really informative. It's been great. But the whiskey thought for this one is it's been real funny because I remember when I was young, you teaching me the first time I ever touched a welder period was a stick welder in the shop, and you know, it was welding nuts and little rods together and learning how to do that, and then it's been real funny because I've had some opportunity to do some kind of structural welding, fence welding and stuff like that, and the amount of people that are incapable of welding with rod is it's kind of funny to me because I find that one really easy.
Just strike it and burn.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's crazy to watch some of those people because I'm a certified MIG welder, and it's.
I'll be honest with you. I'd rather weld with stick because I mean,
100%.
There's no gap too wide, no hole too deep. As long as you got enough rod to fill it, buddy, you can make it seal up.
Seal up, that's for sure. That's why I got a little wire gun myself, and I use the hell out of it.
Yeah, I mean,
I used to, what I could see.
Right. Yeah, that's one.
Are
of those.
you on I should say, if you've been doing welding for long enough, you're on a shade 3 now, probably.
Yeah, I'm still feeling it on a 9, but still on 10.
Okay, so that's not bad. I know a few guys that they're on a shade 7.
Shade 7.
Yeah, they're on a shade 7, and I'm like, oh.
Shade 7, but with what cheater in front of it though?
250.
Right. It's one of those things that you could eat soup. You could eat soup before you strike an arc.
Yeah, 250. Yeah, it's a CNI dog next.
Hey, but if you can still strike an arc and stack dimes with a stick and a CNI dog, I'd still say that, you know, at that point you're just born with it.
I can get the hood on him.
Right.
So I guess one of the biggest questions I have. All right, can you weld 2 pop cans together?
Nope.
Laid that one flat out.
Yeah, he said, I don't give a shit to.
No.
I mean, so I'll say welding 2 pop cans together with stick. That's I don't know that I've ever seen anyone do that shit with stick.
Do it. With stick. It's all the way, all the way down, all the way down, and you watch them go.
Yeah, motherfuckers like just barely pecking the son of a bitch. Jesus Christ!
Touch it, pour water on it to cool it off. Touch it, pour water on it to cool it off.
It's welding.
Yeah, no, I don't have that kind of patience. I'll TIG weld. I can TIG weld some cans together, but I can't stick weld it.
Yeah, I would TIG weld. It might be a little bit more like it.
Yep.
But I don't think I could even TIG weld. It's too meticulous. When I got down to that small of a thing, we was using machines, orbital machines that welded it themselves.
Yeah.
They clamp around the pipe, and they got the tungsten runs inside, and they fuse weld it together. It's a whole lot to it.
Yeah, those are cool. My father-in-law is a sub-arc welder right now.
Yeah.
Is that what that's called? Where it?
Kind of. It's a machine, but it's like I don't know enough about it, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot. All I know is there's a certain media that like gets poured over top of it, kind of deal, as the machine goes around. So I don't know if it's like an insulator or something. I don't know. I'm not real privy. Dad, can you speak to that at all, or?
Well, what it does is they've got the flux, which is a powder in a hopper, and the wire goes through that hopper. And it makes the weld on the end. They actually turn the pipe instead of the machine moving.
Okay. All right. There you go. Well, see, there you go. And when you want to answer questions about welding, you ask a welder.
Sub-arc machine is a lot of will work your ass off.
Yeah.
If you're going to be doing it, because it'll never stop.
Right.
Yeah, they continue going. Whereas other times, like a orbital welder, when computer chip plants and pharmaceutical plants and food plants, those are real time consuming there because you have to clamp it on each weld. And then, if it's a food plant, you got to get an FDA inspector to look at your tack up and so on and so forth. It's a whole lot like a nuclear plant. You have to go through all this procedure.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but food plants, a lot of that stuff is stainless and it has to be TIGged, correct?
Yeah, all stainless. Every bit has to be taken. Can't even have a filler wire in it.
Can't even have what?
Filler wire.
Can't even have a filler wire.
You can't.
You got to fuse it.
Okay, so you can't do any Texas welding on there.
No, sir. No stuff back on that.
That's great.
But if it passes X-ray, it's okay, right?
Yeah. You can look at him. They don't use the X-ray.
Well, so Dad, do you have anything else that you'd like to add and fill this up? Because I mean, I'm running dry. Y'all got anything?
I bet you tomorrow I could probably come up with a few
Right.
questions.
Yeah, we'll have a ton of damn questions tomorrow.
Well, I'm about out of wind today anyway, boys.
No, well, all right then.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, sir. Definitely was super informative.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you, fellas.
Nice to meet you too, sir.
All right, signing off.
All right. Well, have a good night, Dad, and thanks for calling in.
You too.
All right. Bye. Well, folks.
A lot of information.
Holy cow, my brain's hurting.
Right?
Or I should say it's not hurting, but my brain is expanded by 25%.
It was easier just to listen and be like, okay.
I know.
Okay.
I was sitting
Okay.
there. We were
Question?
asking the questions, and I was like, "Is Tegan gonna say anything?"
Because I come up with a question, he'd answer it before I even asked anything. I'm like, alrighty.
I know. That's why I was
Yeah.
like, okay. That was so at least okay, because I was honestly kind of stressed out a little bit when I was thinking of the question.
I could tell that it was really kind of you were really kind of tense about this whole
because it was eating at me because I've always been, and also you got to think I grew up in a household and an environment around all my friends and all my friends' parents, because obviously we grew up together and all of my friends' parents were all private,
right,
you know, and also the household that I grew up in was fuck union. Yep. You know, like
right.
union, all union's going to do is screw you over. They're just going to use you and abuse you. And that's why having him on, I've never taken the time to actually consider and ask somebody, hey, what about this? What about this?
Right.
Because it's also different coming from his perspective. I'm
right.
like, I don't want to be recruited. I just want to have my questions answered.
Right, yeah.
And it's good to hear somebody coming from, hey, here's your information that you want to know. And obviously after hearing that, it's like, okay, to me, the union sounds a lot less bad. I still don't want to go and join it.
Right.
But the union sounds a lot less like a monster under
right.
the bed than it did.
And I agree with you on that, because there's a lot of aspects of the union that I learned about tonight that I didn't have a clue of, and that I mean, I'm not going to go run off and join a union right now or anything, because I happen to like my open shop and how things work there. But I will say that there's a lot of things that, and this is part of why we do this podcast, is because we want, everybody that's out there listening, all of our 20s of listeners. Now we've moved from 10s to 20s now. But we want to share this information with you guys, because we're researching and we're learning all of this stuff too, but we want you guys to be able to have it as well. So it's opportunities like this that we're able to glean that information and to grow our knowledge as well as grow your knowledge. And I don't know, man, I'm kind of feeling like this is one of my favorite episodes a little bit, because I feel like we've really contributed to society.
That was this episode has contributed a lot because of the information and also having a guest on, having our first guest, like call-in guest and everything, has been super informative, because it
and now the whiskey's hitting you.
now the whiskey's hitting. I'm not even finished. No, it's definitely interesting to hear that all of those aspects on union. And I mean, I remember even before we came in, I thought he was, the way it was explained, I thought he was like, he had been in the union for long, but he still wasn't like pro-union.
Well, I mean, it's yes and no, and so I guess the way I explained it is he's not like 100% union ride or die. Maybe that's a better way of explaining it.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say he's not 100% union. It sounds like he's union, like for himself personally. Right, it sounds like he himself is union. But to put this in car terms for anybody who will understand this, you know, let's take the same year vehicle. Let's not make this too complicated, people. But if you've got a Ford diesel truck and a Chevy diesel truck, and they're technically the same caliber, right? Let's say they're the same horsepower. They're gonna get the same job done. Right. One might be cheaper than the other. Yeah. But there's a reason people like to drive one or the other.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And so,
that's a good way to put it.
And to me, it seems like he was very diligent and very good at explaining.
Explaining.
Wow.
We're gonna subtitle that one. That's word of the day. The more you know. Explaining. I'm not even sure how to spell that. We'll figure it out though.
Explaining.
Add an extra naning in there.
Okay.
But he was very good at positioning himself in the, hey, this is where I'm at, but if you are interested, here's 2 good aspects to pursue.
See, I mean, the nice thing is that's probably the most information I've ever heard of about a union.
Right.
Like the internet doesn't even describe it that well.
The only information I've ever heard is from guys on a job site or from my dad when he worked in tile stuff and everything. He doesn't like union guys because they were slow.
Right.
That's the biggest thing I've heard about them.
Well, see, and I think that's a lot of it too. Is there's a lot of companies that paint unions in a negative aspect.
Oh yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say that, like, you know, hey, no, we shouldn't be, you know, like everybody should be union. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I think a lot of what people paint a union as is not entirely accurate. It may be to discredit that desire for you to research a little more. Maybe that's the premise for the speaking so negative on unions. I mean, I don't know if does that make sense?
I mean, even if you talk to a recruiter, they would just paint it to where unions way better than non-union.
Well, I would also say
it's their job. Apparently they infiltrate companies in order to, like, I was like, when he told me that, I was like, oh shit, I had no idea.
Is that allowed on the podcast?
My dad was a fucking mole.
He was a spy.
He was a rat. He was a rat.
Slither snake.
So let me ask this.
All right.
Or I should say, let me bring this to light. So I think another thing with unions and this is from the perspective of a private guy. So a lot of things I see historically, like from when we were in school, the history books that we read, the studies that we did, looking things up on the internet, typically you only see unions in a negative light. You always see, hey, these people in the union are picketing, I guess is what he called it.
Yeah.
They're protesting,
striking.
they're picketing, they're striking, they want this, they want that, they want this, and they're consistently painting them in the narrative for the union, at least from my perspective, is they're always painted in a negative light.
Well, and that makes entire sense too, because if you think
entirely sense.
Wow.
Explaining entirely.
Explaining entirely. Okay.
At least you don't got to drive anywhere.
This is true. But
I need some agua.
I think I drank the last water bottle, so sorry.
That's fine.
You're out.
That's fine.
Garden hose for you, buddy.
Tastes better anyways.
It's true. It does. All the added chemicals and stuff that
nice
everybody's
sweet.
Yeah.
And then you get that aftertaste and that film in your mouth that you got to spit out.
It burns on the way down.
Yeah. Like tequila without the alcohol.
Yeah.
Maybe train wreck on the thought.
Sorry.
There. Yeah.
So you were going to say something
That I don't remember.
that you don't remember, but if you give
about
it
a topic that we were discussing.
real quick,
Union, non-union?
Whiskey Thought, McFarland Ranch.
McFarland Racing.
Is that what it says? Oh, I only saw the RAC.
Yeah, sorry, it's McFarland Racing.
Well, I thought that was
the old Cleater mix.
okay. I thought that was Cletus. I just thought that was like a play shirt or whatever, where it was like just he made McFarland Ranch and just made it as like a joke
It
T-shirt.
wouldn't surprise me any. It's probably coming, but yeah, no. This is all right.
Copyrighted our
so
idea.
we're gonna have the beer thought, but I'm gonna shout this one out because I'll have to turn it around.
No, that would be copyrighted. Living the dream off the ranch.
There we go with that. McFarland Racing. Let's see if I get in the VJO there. It's old. It's Oreo. Oreo car. It's whenever he went.
He wasn't one of my, or I say he. The car
Wasn't the favorite.
The car wasn't one of my favorites.
I was just excited because Ty and the boy, like, you know, my Ford guy on
Shout
the
out
channel.
Cletus McFarland YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Hell yeah,
definitely
brother.
Yeah. So I was just excited that they finally had a Ford power plant in one of their cars. And, you know, I mean, granted, they went with the Godzilla the first go around, and it was an absolute tragedy because Ford should just stick to dual overhead cams and leave the single overhead cam to Chevy. Just we're going to throw that out there.
I'm a Chevy guy, so my
Please.
favorite one was Ruby.
Wow, you can't go wrong with Ruby in a like 98
Ruby or
millimeter
Leroy.
turbo. Yeah, it was just.
Ruby or Leroy.
Yeah,
Hey,
or
so
Leroy.
we're gonna put this out there right now.
Mullet.
Now hold on. I'm gonna
go
put this out
on.
here. I love the body cleater. It's great. You know, freedom. Put a fucking radiator back in Leroy and make him a street car. There, I said it. I'm sorry. I love the methanol. Put a fucking radiator in him and make him the street monster he was intended to be. The car that you started, you're doing Eagle, you know, your new car here. It better have a damn radiator in it and drag and drive. I'm just saying, you broke my heart
But
and a couple
methanol
of my
makes more
friends
power.
about taking the radiator and turning him into a straight race car because that wasn't what Leroy was supposed to be. Anyhow, there, I said it. Beer thought concluded.
You feel better now?
I do.
Okay.
It hurt my heart a little bit. But anyhow, so I like McFlurry. I got this shirt. I got this shirt for two reasons. One, to piss my friend off because he doesn't like McFlurry. And because he's a Chevy guy. And two, because, you know, Fox bodies for life. I'm drooling over my nephews.
You sent me one the other day, and you were like,
Yeah.
"I'm trying so hard to be responsible right now."
Oh God, it's so bad.
It's
too.
clean.
Dude. It's gorgeous.
It's clean.
And the worst part is I can get a family price, which
I used
is
to
not
have
the
one. It was
listed
super
price. So,
I had a red one. It was a drop top.
V6.
Had a white racing stripe down it. We cut the muffler off.
you said convertible and V6. I lost interest.
Oh no! I'll show you videos. We drove it through the pond. We
So this was a farm car.
it was the farm car.
There you go.
We took our 4x4s
Yeah.
and everything. We drove them across the hood. Drove it.
God.
Yeah, I have a video of one of us pulling up on the hood. I have
So this is a lot like the oh God, what is it? It's the Beamer on the Hoonigans from the original Donut Garage.
Yeah,
where they,
basically,
yeah.
because it's funny too because that car, I'll say the transmission on it. I don't remember what it had in it. It's an automatic, but like we were driving it through the field at like 60 miles an hour, and we'd pivot and it would just spin. We'd kick it in reverse and be doing as fast as we could in reverse. And I mean, he drove it, I drove it, plenty of other people drove it, and we've got one friend. Okay, we've got one friend that I swear to God he could break an anvil in a sandbox, and
with a feather.
with a feather.
Yes.
And I don't know why we let him drive it, but he has he has a history of any vehicle he drives, the transmission happens to break. And I mean, we had been
Every
romping on this
time.
thing for a week, just reverse, forward, shifting through the gears, driving in the pond. I mean, we backed it into the pond and we filled the trunk and all the floorboards came up, water, everything. Basically, we got it to where it was not touching electronics, but the whole thing was full of water, and then we gunned it out of the pond. And I'll see if I can find some of that.
Okay,
But
those are Facebook posts, possible Patreon.
yeah, well, we can make one a Facebook post.
Yeah.
I think it's turned into a track car now, a dirt track car.
Okay.
But
So there's a like RIP most Fox bodies because like, there for a while there was about 5 years that everybody that raced fucking dirt track.
because they were cheap.
Yeah. Now they're fucking expensive.
Yeah.
It's because everybody destroyed them.
Yeah.
Well, that day he came over, I got videos of us doing burnouts in it. We were doing burnouts in the driveway, everything. And I was on 40 acres. So just so everybody knows, I had 40 acres, so we were able to play.
Yeah. Do country boy stuff.
So he gets in it and goes, "Guys, can I drive it?" Because we were having fun. And we were like, "Yeah, dude, get in it."
Like, yeah, have a blast.
I shit you not.
Like 2 seconds later.
We come down just to paint it, I had you come off of the road and you have a gravel driveway that continues on past the front of the house. The front of the house faced the gravel driveway.
Right.
And it continued on past, and then you could go through a gate into the field, and then you had your driveway.
Right.
So he pulls out of the driveway when we turn in the field. I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and he just starts gunning it. We'd cut the muffler off, so it's a V6. It's a V6. It sounds like crap, but
Yeah.
he's taking off. We're
Y'all were
throwing
too young
gravel.
to know better. It's fine.
What? How far? We got maybe from the gate. If we're talking yardage, from the gate, we got maybe 60 yards from the gate.
If that, and it just
And the driveway was long enough that we were probably doing 40, 50 miles an hour, roughly.
Right.
And we got 60 yards from the gate, and he went to spin it, throw it in reverse.
nothing.
Nothing. No forward, no reverse, no anything. He blew it up.
So did he blow up the transmit? Like, did y'all find out what it was? Did he bust the input shaft? Because that was a weakness of those transmissions, those automatic transmissions. Is the input
actually,
shaft
no.
was usually,
It had first gear. It had first, but it was like super.
He
It was
grenaded it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like, it
had
destroyed the
first, but like
clutches,
we
everything.
had to push it to get it going, and like we were rocking the car, and once it got rolling, I told him to just drive it up into the lean-to and park it, because also I have videos of us trying to raise the I almost called it a lean-to. We tried to raise the top up, and it got halfway up, and we're like, okay, it's going, and it goes, and it just makes this horrid sound. And in the video, we're like, ooh. So,
Man. So this sounds like we need to have some. We need to
I'd
find
love-
some of these videos, and
we
they
can
need to
find
be
some,
public.
and I'm not gonna lie, I would love to get just a basher vehicle, just a beater, because I've had plenty of them. I had a 19. What was it? It was a 90s model Chevy.
Okay.
With a 350 in it. I'll tell you, that motherfucker had some torque. It was running rich.
Did you know it's actually really hard? It's hard, but somewhat easy to rip those doors off.
Of a 90s model Chevy truck.
Yeah, we have videos of us ripping the doors off after we.
And whenever you stand on the door frame, like where the window rolls down, and you jump on it and it hits the tire, it sounds like a gun.
Because you cut the tire.
It's really loud.
And I'll say the only reason that happened is because we were driving it over, we had some hills back there and driving it through the woods. And let's just say another redneck buddy of ours.
All right, I think we might have to hold on. We're gonna have to cut this here. We have to go behind the paywall if we're gonna continue down the redneck stories here. Because we went from like the most inspirational episode to absolute fucking redneckery.
redneck fuckery.
Yeah,
whatever.
redneck
There's
fuckery.
Something we need to name it. We need to come up with that.
Yeah,
we
we
can
have
do
to.
a series like honestly, before we go behind the paywall, if anybody's listening to this,
Okay.
if any younger people are
Yeah,
listening to this.
if you've made it this far.
Yeah. So there used to be a show. It's still on today. I don't think it's as good as it was, but about 5-6 years ago, there was a show called Hoonigan. Was it? Well, like it was a YouTube, or it was a company called Hoonigan, but they had a YouTube.
They're still here. It's Hoonigan, and they
sold out to a bigger company.
Yeah, they're
so
not what
they're
they
not,
used to be.
They're not the Hoonigan anymore.
Ken Block and all the OGs kind of.
Well, after Ken
Block passed away, it kind of went south quick.
Yeah.
So R.I.P. Ken, 43 forever.
So, it would be super fun to get something and put Livin the Dream on it and just go bash around on it.
Yeah, they need to get another Burnyard going or something like that. And
Well, it was fun when they were getting in trouble.
yeah,
They were like, your burnouts are affecting the kids next door.
well, yeah,
it was
maybe it's a damn good thing.
These kids are getting used to it.
Yeah, maybe it will pique some of their automotive curiosity and make them not be fucking slobbing assholes.
They did some stupid shit in a tiny parking lot.
Hell yeah, they did. Manline was amazing.
Remember when the first
episode?
episode where they jumped the Bronco?
Yeah.
When they put the ramp in and they jumped the Bronco?
I still remember. I remember whenever fucking Zach jumped the Miata and about broke his fucking vertebrae.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But no, I guess to tie it
he's
in-
actually got his own channel now.
He does.
Yeah.
To tie it into the rest of this, since we're talking automotive,
Okay.
do you know, I guess while I'm thinking about it, and if anybody's listening now as we're kind of just talking about random shit,
Right.
do you know if there's any, I guess what would you be, private auto manufacturers? Would you
No.
consider like, In the U.S. or like
the closest thing to a private auto manufacturer right now. I don't even want to say the name.
It's a horrible name.
Yeah, I think you know the name that I'm referring to.
It starts with a T.
Ends with an A.
Yeah.
And it's shocking.
slave labor.
Well, I don't know about all that shit, but I'm just saying like that. Honestly, I think that's the only privately held auto manufacturer.
Their cars have a low center of gravity, and they don't burn petrol.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, there's another one, isn't there? Starts with an R, ends with an N.
The trucks.
Yeah, they're actually cool.
Ah, yes. Well, that one's not publicly available yet, though.
Rivian?
Well, is
that one private?
Well, is that
I
a
don't know.
private?
They're
Is that
smaller.
a private company? Because you also, I wonder something we should have asked them. Can you be a union company and still be publicly traded?
I have no idea.
Because that'd be kind of interesting.
I'm sure. Well, I think at that point you're just contradicting
what you're trying to do.
No, I think you can be a publicly traded person, like a publicly traded company, and use unions as contractors. Because when we get behind the paywall, I can give you an example of that.
Well, ding dong ding.
Right. So
This has been Living the Dream.
that's right. This has been Living the Dream podcast. I'm Sam,
I'm Josiah.
I'm Tegan.
and we'll see you guys here next week. If you're late.
You're lost.